The dust has barely settled on the match against St. Mirren, but before we put that chapter to bed, there's a lot going on in and around Celtic Park that we need to dive into. We're into the season now, and with that, things are beginning to take shape. The Champions League playoff draw has dropped, the transfer window is heating up, or at least we hope it is, and the debate over squad depth is already stirring up frustrations among the fans. And let's be honest, that St. Mirren game, not exactly a classic. It was one of those fixtures you sit through rather than enjoy. But even in a scrappy match like that, there's plenty to analyze. So let's start with Europe. Celtic now know what's standing between them and a spot in the UEFA Champions League group stage, along with that hefty check of around £4 million. The draw has placed us against either Slovan Bratislava or the Kazakh side Kairat Almaty. It's not set in stone yet which of those we'll face, but the direction of travel is clear. That qualifying tie between Slovan and Kairat will unfold over the next 2 midweeks, with the first leg going down in Kazakhstan and the second in Slovakia. And make no mistake, both outcomes present their own set of headaches. If it's Kairat, you're talking about a trip that's just under 4,000 miles, basically halfway to Australia. It's not the kind of journey you want to be making when your season's only just begun and your squad is still finding its rhythm. But it's not unfamiliar territory either. Celtic have done Kazakhstan before, a couple of visits to Astana, and who can forget Shakhtar Karagandhi under Neil Lennon? There's enough institutional memory at the club to know what kind of planning goes into these kinds of trips. Brendan Rodgers, John Kennedy, the logistics team, everyone knows the drill. It's about minimizing jet lag, keeping the players fresh, and handling what will surely be a physically draining occasion. Now, if it's Slovan Bratislava, you're probably looking at a more traditional European away day, but let's not get complacent. Slovan are no mugs. If they get through against Kairat, that'll be 6 consecutive qualification ties they've won. No small feat. They've got experience, they know how to navigate these two-legged affairs, and they'll fancy their chances against anyone. Remember, they were in Europe last season and caused problems. This isn't some amateur side we can sleepwalk past. But, and here's the key point, if Celtic can't get through either of those sides, then we don't belong in the Champions League group stage. Harsh maybe, but that's the reality. With the resources, the squad, the infrastructure we've got, not making it through this playoff would be a massive failure. Interestingly, the reaction from Slovak media has been telling there's genuine concern over the draw from their side. One outlet even called Celtic the toughest possible opponent for Slovan. And that's refreshing to hear because, let's face it, there was a period not too long ago where Celtic weren't feared in Europe. Even in qualifiers, we were often seen as the team others wanted to face. That seems to be shifting again, and part of that comes from how we performed last season. Yeah, we didn't get the results we wanted in the group stage, but we went toe-to-toe with top sides, pushed Bayern Munich, and played some quality football along the way. That perception matters. It changes how teams approach us, and maybe more importantly, how we approach these games. Now on the domestic front, there's also the interesting subplot about the SPFL's new policy. For the first time, clubs involved in the final round of European qualification have the option to postpone their Matchday 3 Premiership fixture, even without the opposition's consent. For Celtic, that means the Livingston game scheduled for the 23rd of August at Celtic Park could be pushed back. No sign yet whether the club would take that option, but if you ask me, it makes complete sense to do so. Look, we're already seeing some injury concerns cropping up. Alistair Johnston, Cameron Carter, Vickers, Kieran Tierney, all players either just coming back or not quite at 100%. The last thing we need is to be slogging through a domestic game right in between 2 massive European playoff legs. And let's be honest, David Martindale's not exactly the kind of guy who'd be willing to play ball if consent was required. So it's a good thing it's not. I get the other side of the argument. Some fans say we need to rack up matches to get the squad sharp. That we need minutes, momentum, that sort of thing. Fair enough. But personally, I'm in the camp that says, protect your assets. Give yourself the best chance possible to get into the Champions League. The SPFL have said that any rescheduled games will be slotted in as soon as possible, before the end of September. So we're not looking at a fixture pile-up in December or anything. There's a window, we should use it. Meanwhile, the transfer chatter continues as we wait for the official announcement of Jamari Simpson-Pusey, who was spotted at Celtic Park. In full gear last Sunday, questions are being asked about where this squad is heading. Brendan Rodgers has made it clear he wants more backing in the market, and the fans agree. Right now, we're still leaning heavily on players brought in during the Ange Postecoglou era. Guys like Alistair Johnston, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Rayo Hatate, Dyson Maeda, they're carrying the load. Even Callum McGregor, who predates all of them, is still arguably our most important player. But what about Rodgers' own signings? Where's the impact from his guys? Truth is, most of them aren't starters. Some haven't even made the bench. That's a problem. A club like Celtic can't operate with a disconnect between the manager and the recruitment department. Brendan needs a couple of big signings. Players he's handpicked. Guys he trusts, players who can walk straight into the starting 11 and lift the whole team. Now let's circle back to that game against St. Mirren. Not one for the scrapbook. But as always, the devil is in the details. Watching it live, emotions run high. You see every missed chance, every misplaced pass, and it all feels a bit frantic. But on second viewing, things looked a little better. Kieran Tierney in particular stood out. That first half from him was immense. He was bombing forward, creating chance after chance. Should have had 2 or 3 assists. Whipped in 2 perfect crosses for Adama. One header saved the other just over the bar, and even had a couple of shots himself. It was a reminder of just how important Tierney can be to this team. He brings dynamism, a directness, a spark, and although his connection with Maeda still needs work, you can already see the potential. Tierney overlaps, Maeda cuts inside, and suddenly we've got movement down the left that's difficult to handle. Greg Taylor used to do something similar, but Tierney takes it up a level. If he stays fit, that's going to be a massive weapon for us this season. On the other side, Alistair Johnston looked decent too. Still playing that inverted fullback role coming into the midfield and trying to dictate the tempo. Not always perfect, but encouraging signs. At centre-back, Liam Scales and Carter-Vickers were solid. The midfield bit more hit and miss. McGregor did okay. Hatate was involved, but his final ball just wasn't clicking. Negrane a bit of a letdown, but it was his debut. Might take him a few matches to get used to the physical side of Scottish football. The attack struggled, no question. Yang had a tough day. Ada, despite the criticism, had his chances. He's a polarizing figure right now. Some fans are completely done with him. Others are more forgiving. I'm somewhere in between. He scored 20 goals last season. He's not useless, but his all-around play needs work. He's not a number 1 striker for Celtic. Should be a second option, a guy who can come off the bench, start cup games cover. Injuries. That's his level. But right now he's being asked to lead the line, and that's not ideal. We need a first-choice striker. That's not opinion, that's fact. We also need a left back to back up Tierney, because let's face it, Tierney isn't going to play every game. He was cramping up in the first match of the season, and no, Liam Scales is not the answer there. He's a center back, not a full back. We've got to be smarter than this. And then there's the situation with Yamada and Anamura. Neither of them is getting minutes. Yamada didn't get on at the weekend, and Anamura wasn't even on the bench. So what's going on? Are these Brendan Rodgers signings? Or are they club signings that Brendan's just not interested in? That's the question being whispered among the support. Johnny Kenny came on ahead of Yamada against St. Mirren, and that raised a few eyebrows. Kenny did alright in preseason, but Yamada for me has more to his game. He's exciting, direct, unpredictable. I'd have him as the second striker easy. The Anamura situation is even more confusing. Everyone assumed he was brought in as a left back, but based on his time in Japan, he's probably more of a center back. He only played left back in preseason because we had no one else. So where does he actually fit in? And if he can't even make the bench, what was the point of signing him? It's this kind of lack of clarity, this uncertainty that creates unease. The squad needs reinforcing. We need a second choice left back. We need a top tier striker. We need a proper right winger. Possibly another winger on the left too. That's 4 players minimum, and not just projects. Not more development guys. We need players ready to start now. Ready to make an impact. Ready to elevate the level of this team. And we need them soon. Because once that playoff tie kicks off, there's no room for hesitation, no margin for error. Either we're ready or we're out. Let's keep it rolling, because there's still plenty to break down. And if Sunday's game showed us anything, it's that Celtic still have a few gears to hit. You can feel it, can't you? That weird tension in the air. We've got the points. On the board, the squad's technically in place, but it all still feels a bit incomplete. And with a massive Champions League playoff just around the corner, that feeling isn't exactly ideal. Back to that match against St. Mirren. As frustrating as it was to sit through, there are moments that tell us where this Celtic team is right now, and maybe more importantly, where it's trying to go. The big headline for me wasn't just a lack of fluency in attack. It was how the team stayed in it, mentally and physically, all the way through. You could see it in the body language. Even when things weren't quite clicking, there was no panic. The players kept pushing, kept probing. They didn't resort to long balls, didn't lose discipline, didn't start moaning at each other. And that's worth something. Late goals at Celtic Park. That used to be part of the DNA. Under Brendan the first time, under Lenny, even during Rodgers' first run, we had a reputation for just grinding teams down. But last season, oddly, we never won a single league game at home by a 1-goal margin. Every win was by 2 or more. So that moment when the winner finally went in with just a few minutes left on the clock, that felt like something we hadn't seen in a while. Not just relief, but a proper we never stopped moment. It was messy, it was scrappy, it was deflected. But it was earned. And credit to the fans as well. They stayed with the team even when the football wasn't sparkling. Celtic Park has had its fair share of frustration over the years, especially when the team isn't firing. But Sunday was different. The crowd understood the stakes. They knew this was still a team coming together. And when that ball hit the back of the net, the place erupted. That noise, that catharsis, it matters. It lifts the players, it sets the tone, and it reminds everyone what this club's about. Now, there's still a lot of chatter about the individual performances, and rightly so. Kieran Tierney stole the show in that first half. He was absolutely everywhere. There's a sharpness to his game that no one else in the squad quite matches. He's direct aggressive, and his delivery from wide areas is as good as it's ever been. But you could also see by the 65th minute that the tank was empty. And again, that's not a surprise. He's been through a lot physically, and he's only just settling back into proper first-team action. But it's another reminder that relying on him week in, week out isn't realistic. That's why the lack of a backup left back isn't just a gap, it's negligence. And it's baffling that the club still haven't addressed it, especially when Anamura isn't even getting a seat on the bench. He was signed as a defender, he played as center back in Japan. Fine, but if he's not trusted to play anywhere in this squad, then what was the point? Liam Scales filled in and did well. But again, let's be clear, he's a center back. He shouldn't be expected to cover fullback roles just because no one else is available. He's earned respect for his attitude and adaptability, but this isn't a charity. Celtic should be building a team to win, not patch up holes with makeshift solutions. And what about the midfield? It wasn't a horror show, but it didn't quite tick either. Callum McGregor did what he always does. Kept the tempo linked. The play stayed calm under pressure, but you could tell he was carrying a heavy load. Reo Hatate had moments tried to spark something, but that final ball just wasn't landing. Again, early days, and he's one of our most technically gifted players, but he's not quite up to speed yet. Negron, on the other hand, was a bit of a puzzle. There was so much excitement about him in preseason. He looked sharp, creative, confident. But Sunday felt like a cold splash of Scottish Premiership reality. It was physical, tight space was at a premium, and he struggled to adapt. That's not a condemnation. First real competitive start, massive crowd, maybe the biggest atmosphere he's ever played in. It's understandable, but it does underline the gap between looking promising in friendlies and delivering when it matters. That brings us to the forward line, and honestly, this is where the anxiety really kicks in. Yang had a poor game. There's no sugarcoating. He just couldn't get anything going on the right side. Wrong decisions, mistimed runs didn't beat his man often enough. He'll have better days, but for now, there's a gaping hole on that flank. Celtic need a proper right winger, someone with end product, someone defenders hate playing against, someone who can actually take pressure off the central players. Because right now, it's all too predictable. And then there's Adam Eder. If you've been watching Celtic long enough, you'll know what an in-between striker looks like. Not quite the guy you build a team around, but not totally useless either. That's Eder. He's not hopeless. He scored 20 goals last season, but he's not elite either. He's not the guy who leads the line in a Champions League playoff and strikes fear into defenders. His hold-up play is patchy. His decision-making isn't always there. And he doesn't quite play with the kind of authority you want from a number 9 at Celtic. Still, he gets chances. Against St. Mirren, he hit the post, had 2 headers, scuffed another opportunity. On another day, he might have bagged a brace. But that's the thing on another day. Celtic can't afford to rely on maybe players in key positions. Not when the season's already started and the big games are around the corner. What we need is someone who owns the striker role, someone who gives us a focal point, someone defenders fear, and who lifts the whole attacking line. Ada for me is a second choice option, a useful squad player, not the man you pin your hopes on for a European campaign. And it's not just about signing names for the sake of it. We've done that before. What Brendan Rodgers needs now is our players, guys who fit his system, his style, his expectations. Right now, the core of this squad was built under Ange. That's not a criticism. It's just the truth. Ange built a team that played fast vertical football. Brendan wants something slightly different. More control, more possession, more flexibility. So the personnel needs to reflect that. The frustration among fans is understandable. The window's been open long enough. Preseason's come and gone. The competitive matches have started. And still the areas that everyone can see need strengthening haven't been addressed. You've got fans online doing mock lineups with dream signings while the club's boardroom seems stuck in neutral. There's a feeling that we're always reacting rather than preparing. Always scrambling rather than building with intent. Take the Shin Yamada situation. The lad clearly has potential. Showed flashes last season. Has energy, has intelligence. Yet when the manager turns to the bench, Johnny Kenny is the one getting minutes instead. Nothing against Kenny. He worked hard in preseason. But Yamada looks like the better footballer. So what's going on? Is it tactical? Is it physical? Or is it political? Is this a case of a player being signed by the club without Brendan's full blessing? And now he's not being given a fair shot. No one wants to think that's the case, but it's hard not to wonder. Same goes for Anamura. Still no clarity on what position he's supposed to play. Still no appearances. Still not in the matchday squad. The question isn't just about individual players. It's about communication. What's the plan? What's the strategy? Because right now it all feels a bit scattered. And just to add to the picture, the league table after one round of fixtures paints a funny story. Hearts and Hibs at the top, Rangers lingering near the bottom, Celtic sitting in third. Obviously, it's ridiculously early days. No one's handing out trophies in August, but it does tell you that this league is going to be competitive. There are no gimmies. Aberdeen are next, and they'll be well up for it. They gave us problems last season, and we've got to travel up to Pittodrie, which is always a tough place to go. So let's be clear. This isn't the time for dithering. Celtic need to act, and not in 3 weeks. Not on deadline day. Now, Jamari Simpson-Pusey should be announced any day now, and that's a positive step. But it can't be the only one. We need that left back. We need a striker. We need a right winger. And maybe even another winger on the left, depending on injuries. If we get all of that done and done quickly, this season could take off. The foundations are there. The defense, when fit, looks solid. The midfield, while needing sharpening, has quality. The attack, that's where the transformation needs to happen. Because when you combine all the underlying tension, the incomplete squad, the mixed performances, the looming European qualifiers, it all comes back to the same question. Are we going to be proactive, or are we going to wait and hope waiting's what lesser clubs do? Celtic should be setting the tempo, not just on the pitch, but in the transfer market, in planning and ambition. This is a club that demands the highest standards. And right now, the support is demanding more than just effort and excuses. They want action. They want direction. They want to believe that this squad isn't just trying to survive in Europe, but compete. And if Brendan Rodgers is going to deliver the kind of football and the kind of results this club expects, then the tools need to be there. The players need to be there. The squad needs to be ready. Because come that playoff first leg, there's nowhere left to hide. You either turn up or you don't. You either take your place in the Champions League or you watch it from the sofa. And if this club's serious about progressing, about matching the ambition or the support, then it's time to show it. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. The rumour mill in Scottish football is spinning faster than ever, and Parkhead is once again the epicenter of speculation as whispers grow louder about a potential seismic move in the transfer market. Word on the terraces is that Celtic may have splashed a small fortune to bring in what many are already calling the next defensive rock of Europe, VELJKO MILOSAVLJEVIC, the 21-year-old Serbian centre-half, has reportedly caught the eye of scouts from across the continent with his commanding presence, aerial dominance, and an uncanny ability to read the game with the composure of a seasoned veteran. Although the club has yet to confirm the signing officially, multiple sources suggest a deal is already in place and that the young stopper will be unveiled in the coming days. Fans are abuzz with excitement and curiosity, wondering if Milosavljevic will be the long-term solution to Celtic's persistent defensive inconsistencies. With his towering frame and reputation as a Serbian wall, comparisons are already being drawn to past greats of Eastern European football, and his potential impact in the Scottish Premiership could be monumental. Still, some are cautious, questioning whether such a significant investment in a relatively untested talent is the right move at this crucial juncture. Behind the scenes, murmurs suggest that manager Brendan Rodgers has had his eye on Milosavljevic for months, perhaps even longer. The club's recruitment department, known for its increasingly data-driven approach, reportedly identified the young Serbian as a standout performer in the Superliga, Serbia's top flight. Milosavljevic's stats last season were nothing short of impressive, leading his league in successful tackles, interceptions per 90, and aerial duels won. Insiders claim that this wasn't a last-minute swoop, but rather a carefully plotted pursuit that required patience, negotiation, and a significant financial outlay. Although the precise fee remains under wraps, it's believed to be one of the most expensive defensive investments Celtic has made in recent years, potentially rivaling or even surpassing the outlay for Christopher Jullien in 2019. Such a figure has understandably raised eyebrows among pundits who are divided on the wisdom of the move. Yet there's a growing sense that Celtic might have found a gem, someone who can not only shore up the defense but also grow into a leader on and off the pitch. The Parkhead faithful are no strangers to bold gambles, and this one, if true, might just redefine the club's defensive identity for years to come. Despite the enthusiasm surrounding Milosavljevic's rumored arrival, some quarters within the support remain cautiously optimistic rather than outright jubilant. After all, adapting to the rough and tumble pace of the Scottish Premiership is no easy feat, and for all his promise, Milosavljevic has yet to test himself outside of Serbia. Skeptics are quick to point out that numerous continental prospects have arrived in Glasgow with glittering resumes only to falter under the weight of expectation and the physicality of the Scottish game. Still, early indicators suggest that Milosavljevic may be cut from a different cloth. Those who have watched him closely describe a defender with not only the physical tools to succeed, but also the mentality and discipline that often separate the good from the great. If the rumblings are accurate and Celtic have indeed secured his services, supporters will be watching closely for any glimpses during pre-season friendlies or closed-door training matches. Now, there's talk that Rodgers may ease him in slowly, possibly pairing him with a more experienced partner to help navigate the early months. Whether or not Milosavljevic can live up to the Serbian Wall moniker, only time will tell, but the buzz suggests something big is brewing at Lennoxtown. From a broader perspective, this potential signing could signal a shift in Celtic's transfer strategy, away from short-term fixes and towards a more sustainable, long-term vision. Over the past few seasons, the club has often relied on loanees or stopgap solutions at the back, leading to a lack of continuity in the heart of defense. The alleged pursuit and acquisition of a young, high-ceiling centre-back like Milosavljevic might indicate a fresh emphasis on building a core of players who can develop together over several seasons. More intriguingly, it might also reflect the club's growing ambitions in Europe. While domestic dominance remains crucial, Celtic's hierarchy has made no secret of their desire to make a deeper impact in UEFA competitions. For that to happen, solidifying the spine of the team is paramount, and investing in a defender touted as one of the Balkans' top emerging talents could be the first step in that direction. The gamble is whether such a player can rise to the occasion under the lights of a packed Celtic Park on Champions League nights. But whispers from within suggest the club is betting big on Milosavljevic's ability to rise to the challenge. As the green and white faithful wait for official word, the mood around Celtic Park is one of impatient anticipation. Already social media is awash with edited photos of Milosavljevic in the hoops, fan-made highlight reels, and speculative starting 11s for the upcoming campaign. The possibility of seeing a young, towering Serbian anchor the defense alongside emerging talents and seasoned pros alike has sparked renewed optimism. Of course, until the deal is confirmed, all remains in the realm of rumor. But in football, especially at a club as storied and emotionally charged as Celtic, rumors often take on a life of their own. Whether VELJKO Milosavljevic becomes a cult hero, a steady servant, or another name lost in the shuffle will depend on his adaptability, resilience, and perhaps a bit of luck. But for now, the mere possibility is enough to stir excitement in Glasgow's East End. As the transfer window rumbles on, and with rivals also strengthening, the boys seem poised to make a bold statement. If the Serbian wall truly is on his way, Celtic's defense, and maybe its destiny, could be about to change in a big way. Hello, fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.